Howard, do you feel like fish fingers are a little bit kiddie?
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be. Fish fingers can be kiddie, but it can also be bomb. It can be dressed up, beautified, and brought back to our adulthood in a really, really cool way. So this is gonna be my salmon cheddar fingers. That's right, cheddar and salmon. So cheddar salmon fingers with celery root mash in under 15 minutes. You ready, baby?
I'm ready, let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so 15 minutes on the clock. Let's talk about celery root. So if you're unclear about what celery root is, imagine this being the ground, this being below the ground, and then above it is the celery stalks. So this is the root to celery. Makes sense, right? It tastes really, really sweet and kind of celery-like. So we're gonna treat it almost like a potato, and instead of mashing mashed potatoes, we're gonna mash the celery root. So I'm gonna start with some boiling water, always in the kettle, and I'm turning my heat on a super high heat. And then with the celery root, the best thing to do is to just kind of trim it. So I just kind of start cutting around the outsides and just cutting as close as you can and just take away any excess. Beautiful. All right, awesome. Howard, smell the celery?
Smells like celery.
Smells like celery, and it's really good. And it's kind of not like the celery you'd think about. So I think I'm just gonna use about half. I'm gonna cut these into kind of little slabs, and then those slabs into little fingers, and then those little fingers into little cubes, right? So you have kind of all around the same size little vibe here going. And you can do this with potatoes if that's what you got, so don't feel like you need to have celery root, or it's really nice to mix the two. So you could do half celery root, half potatoes. I like throwing in some parsnips to that party. Any root veg, which is roots of vegetables, right? Things that grow in the ground. So here we go, right into the hot tub. Boiling water, and we're gonna let this boil away for as long as we've got 12 minutes, so it's gonna be a tight one. All right, so all these trimmings aside, this is fantastic for stock, and then save this for a different day. I love making celery root gratin, like a potato gratin, so good. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna grab a pan, turn it on high heat, and we're gonna start our cheddar salmon fingers. That's right, man, salmon fingers. So this is like fish fingers, this is fish fingers. By the way, I forgot to add a little salt to the celery root. So this is fish fingers done up. So what I'm gonna do is, I got some beautiful salmon, and skin is still on it. I actually don't want the skin on this salmon. So I'm gonna show you guys how to take it off. Really, really simple. So grab your salmon, put it on a board, grab any knife. A flexible knife is preferable, but if all you have is a chef knife, that's totally fine. And then you'll see it goes kind of from fat to skinny. So what I want you to do is kind of hold the really skinny, thin part, make a little incision with your knife until you can kind of feel the skin. Do you see that, Howard, where the skin is? So I'm not going through the skin, just till I can feel it. And then I want you to tilt your knife and go back and forth, holding the skin tight, right? And just kind of dragging your knife across the bottom. And you're left with the skin. And this right here, you can take this little bit here and do something with it, but this right here is really nice, pressed between two kind of sheet trays and dried out in the oven, and you can make little salmon skin crackers. Really good. So let's just do it again so you guys can see it. So I grab a little edge wherever I can find one. So here's just a little edge. Slide my knife down, hold the skin nice and tight, and there you go. And of course, if you're not comfortable doing this, ask your fish person to do it. All right, so now we're gonna cut fingers. So I'm just gonna do like finger width, maybe a little bit thicker. This will be like a monster finger. Beautiful. All right. And I really want to keep it fingers, so save this again for some scrambled eggs, for something else. All the kind of thin trimmings, do not throw away, but for salmon fingers or for actual fingers, it's probably not ideal. All right, so we've got our fingers. Some are a little bit thicker than others, and that's cool. I'm gonna push those to the side. Howard, are you with me so far? Is this all making sense?
It's making sense.
All right, beautiful. That's what I want to hear. I'm gonna give my hands a quick wash, get rid of that salmon flavor. And what I'm gonna do is kind of start a dredge. So I'm gonna grab a couple of bowls. And typically I don't do this on like a weekday night because it's just a lot of dishes, but sometimes I'm craving something crispy and I don't feel like frying. So it's kind of worth it for me to do like an extra bowl or two of cleaning up. So I'm gonna grab an egg. All right, throw this in a bowl. I'm gonna grab a little bit of flour. I thought I had some flour, I do. Beautiful, and some panko breadcrumbs. So I'm just gonna kind of fill these all up. Beautiful, and this is actually called the standard breading procedure. And almost everything from onion rings to chicken fingers to whatever you can think of, right? Calamari is fried this way. So I always do kind of the same route. It goes flour all the way to the actual breadcrumb itself. All right, I'm gonna throw an egg in there, grab a little fork, and here we go. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. Did you guys see that kick move? Show that, Howard. It's a big kick move. No, don't take that. The kick move is, you practice that in culinary school. All right, so show the celery root real quick. So again, it's like potatoes. It's just kind of doing its thing. Cool?
Yep.
All right, so, you see, I'm like a doctor. So a little pinch here, little pinch here, little pinch here of salt. Hit it through, and then, that was the smartest thing I've done in a long time. And then what you're gonna do, where Howard doesn't even think this is legit, is you're gonna grab some cheddar cheese.
Oh, come on now.
And you might be thinking,
come on now.
fish with cheese. Smart move, bad move. Smart move in this case. If you're gonna go dirty, you go real dirty. So I'm crumbling a little bit of cheddar into my breadcrumbs, and these will kind of melt, right? You don't need it to be like cheesy, but it's gonna give a little bit of like a salty kind of richness that you can't just get off the breadcrumbs. And again, we're keeping it, you know, a little trashy because it's fish fingers. All right, so flour with one hand, knock off the flour, into the egg with another hand. This way you don't have a big dirty hand, and then back to the dry with your dry hand. So you have kind of a wet hand and a dry hand. Make sense, Howard?
Yep.
Okay, let's do it again. So dry, in, and you're gonna wanna go into the dry with the wet and the wet with the dry, but you gotta be patient, you gotta take your time. All right, here's your wet. Try and knock off as much as you can, and then back to the dry. I'm into this, I'm really into this. And this is something where it's like, okay, you have the time, maybe you and whoever you're hanging out with wants to catch up on a show, so you throw up a little bit of salmon fingers, and everyone's like, oh my God, you made fish fingers? That sounds terrible, but at the same time really retro and cool. And you're like, it is retro and cool. It's with salmon, and this is completely different, and this is gonna knock your socks off. And they're gonna be like, you're amazing. You're gonna be like, I know. So that's the idea behind this dish. So egg in with the breadcrumbs, and then final one, and always at the end, I end up breaking my own rule, but hey. All right, so we've kind of got these crusted with big chunky cheddar salmon fish sticks. I'm gonna wash my hands. The pan has been heating this whole time. Howard, this is a test for you. What kind of fat would you cook this in?
Olive oil.
You're so good. Yeah, olive oil or neutral oil like soybean oil or vegetable oil is really good, but a good amount of oil to kind of coat the pan. All right, check this out. Here we go. Always lay your fish away from you. And I'm gonna start at 12 o'clock on the clock and go around. That way I know which one I put in first. So I'm going around the clock, right? That way I know exactly which one to turn first. I'm gonna clean up my world here a little bit. This is looking good, man. And that cheddar, woo, that cheddar. It's gonna start smelling kind of crispy. It's gonna start to darken. Really good. All right. So that is doing its thing. Look at these. That's amazing. Let's check our beautiful celery root mash. I just want to see what's going on. Are they tender? Are they not? If they're not, I'm scared. They're not. we've got about 4 minutes left. I think we'll make it, but it's gonna be tight. So you really want this fork tender, meaning when you bite through it, it is soft, because we are gonna try and mash this, although we might be up against it. Is that right? Yes, thank you. We might be up against it this time. All right, so the salmon's doing its thing. We kind of turn down the heat to a medium heat. And again, let's just check the 12 o'clock one. So Howard, get in nice and tight. These brown pretty quick, especially with the cheese. I'm just gonna get under there with a fork. I mean, look at that. Is that crazy?
That looks really good.
It's kind of crispy, popping. Now you can see not a lot of the olive oil came over here. That means my whole house, look at me, Howard, is slanted, which means I made a really bad investment. So if you see all of your oil pooling to one side, just kind of help it out. This looks great. And these are so thin. Oh, look at this one, Howard. See the cheddar?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You all know you love it. Don't be above this recipe. That's all I ask. Don't you dare be above this recipe. All right, a little bit of lemon, because lemon and fish are peanut butter and jelly. Beautiful. All right. Guys, we're getting to like the home stretch here. Now, with this mash, I'm gonna grab a bowl, and you don't need to overthink it. It's literally gonna be celery root, maybe if you've got some herbs, I don't know, parsley, chives would be really nice. I've got some dill. What else do I want? Let's do parsley. So parsley, just to add a little bit of brightness, so it's not just like one tone. And then, so I've got like, you know, tablespoon or two of parsley. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of cream. Really simple. So I'm gonna chop up this parsley nice and fine, not too much. You know my rule, if you chop herbs too much, you stop tasting them. So just a little parsley in the bowl. Beautiful. I'm gonna add just a little olive oil to that. Come on, baby, give me a little drop, like a tablespoon. And then some cream. And here's the deal with cream, which, where's my cream? Where's my cream? It's right here. It's right here the whole time. I love it. The deal with cream is don't buy half and half. Don't try and be healthy with it. If you're gonna use cream, use cream. Go for the gut. All right, 2 minutes left. I think our celery root should be where I want it. Let's try. Come on. Perfect. It's really hot, but perfect. Where's my strainer? Where's my strainer? I don't know. Where's my strainer? It could be. Mind reader. Okay, here we go. So celery root out. Over the sink. And then while it's still hot, right? And try and get as much of that liquid out as possible. While it's still hot, into the parsley, into the olive oil. Little touch of cream. And then here's my secret. And trust me, like this is a well-known fact, but nutmeg and mashed potatoes, or nutmeg, and in this case, mashed celery root, are golden. Golden. All right.
It's getting crazy in here.
It is. A little bit of celery, or a little bit of nutmeg over the top. Oh, it smells so good. A little bit of salt. And then use the back of your fork and just mash it up. This is it, simple as this. And it doesn't have to be pureed, it's just kind of like a little broken, almost warm potato or celery root salad. You getting this, Howard?
I got it. And
35 seconds.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Oh God, okay. Let's do it. Green plate. Salmon fingers are to die for. Those are going off. My mash still needs a second, and 21 seconds. I don't know how fast I can mash. Come on! Mash up. All right, it's gonna be a rustic mash. If you wanna go really, really thin, throw it into a blender, use a little immersion blender, but this is gonna be kind of my version of a rustic mash. Oh, these look good. That's my timer. All right, I missed it by like a little bit, but let's finish it up. I think I'm like a minute over. So a little bit there. And grab a couple of these beautiful fingers. Look at this, man. Don't tell me this is not done up. Don't tell me fish fingers cannot be adult. Look at that, flaking off. That's awesome. A little bit of parsley over the top, just kind of torn. Throw a couple lemon wedges there. Dude, are you impressed, Howard?
Well done, sir.
That looks pretty darn good, if I say so myself. Fish fingers, mashed celery root, little lemon on the side, maybe a little parsley just to call it a day. And don't forget the cheddar. I know that's a zinger, but it's worth it. For more recipes like this, head to Ready for Seconds, or of course, Yemly. I'll see you there.